Welcome to the pew.
The pew.
The pew where we are
manipulating
everybody. No, we were talking about manipulation and how a lot of, some people, a few people, there's been somebody out there, I think.
Pros and cons, I would say.
That one person has accused me of being manipulation at one point. Manipulative, yeah. And you're manipulative, I think. And
see, I wouldn't consider myself manipulative.
Well,
I would consider myself persuasive.
But that's exactly my point, is that manipulation isn't necessarily a bad thing.
That's true.
It has a kind of a negative connotation, but it isn't. Most movers and shakers are manipulative. They manipulate things in order to situate them in a way that something will happen. And
I think to be a successful person, like a successful administrator, you kind of have to be manipulative to some degree to get people below you to do what you want them to do.
Yes.
And think that they're doing it because they want to do it.
Now the end result is where it all matters. If the end result is something that's going to benefit you, then it's negative. If the end result is something that's going to benefit a lot of people, then it's not so manipulative. So, that's... And of course, my manipulation was always, I felt to make everybody happy, make everybody have a good time. So if I was, lying to...
Was that it, or was it to make yourself happy and to get what you wanted?
Well, see, ultimately, okay, well
because
then...
you really, like a lot of it was self-serving.
Then you're getting into altruism, which I agree with you.
You were not altruistic.
I don't think there is such a thing as being altruistic. I think if you're doing something, even if you're doing something for other people, you're doing it really because it makes you feel good. So there is no such thing. So even if I was manipulating to make everybody happy, you're right, it was because that made me happy.
But that's not why you were doing it. I think you were manipulating people to get what you wanted.
To make me happy.
Did it matter to make you happy, not to make other people happy.
Making other people happy, making 5,000 people in a nightclub have a good time and having, doing whatever they're doing and having somebody else pay for it and doing it every night and 4 o'clock. Yes, that made me happy. So, sorry.
Well, those 5,000 people did not have somebody else pay for it. They all had to pay to get in, and they had to buy drinks.
Please! What the fuck? What?
Yes, they did.
Fuck Ernie Glam.
There was a huge line
Don't
of people.
make me make another list of things that have turned you from Garcia to
Don't
Glam.
try to pretend that everyone that went to your clubs got in for free and got free drinks.
I never said everyone, but you're trying to
You're
say
saying 5,000 people.
You're trying to say that everyone paid.
I'm not saying everyone paid.
Yes, you did. You said everyone paid.
I'm saying that of those 5,000 people, maybe 4,000 paid and 1,000 got in for free.
So the 1,000 people had fun at the expense of the 4,000 people.
So 4,000 people didn't have fun?
No, they had fun, but they had to pay for it. But the other people had fun because I manipulated the situation in such a way that the 4,000 people's money would pay for the 1,000 people to have fun and live, have salaries, be able to support themselves. Richie Man did sushi and all these people.
And he earned their eternal gratitude.
Oh, yeah, well, that's another episode. But that was the manipulation. And so that made me happy. So, sue me.
And now a word from our sponsor. Welcome back to the pew.
Welcome back to the pew, where we have just manipulated you into hopefully buying one of our products because we want you to be happy because that makes us happy, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So bitches want to know. What does Karen want to know? That bitch.
Karen wants to know what we all think about today's youth in terms of having inspiration. It seems to Karen that there isn't very much to be inspired about artistically today, like the kids had in the 70s and 80s, which I don't agree with that.
Yes, and I don't agree with it too, but Ernie and I disagree with it for different reasons. I think.
Well, I say that there's plenty to be inspired by right now. In fact, there's more things to be inspired by than ever before.
Yeah, and Ernie just manipulated me. Because I told him before the break, he said, "Oh, I don't agree with that. I think that that people are just as inspired as they were."
They are.
And I said, I think the problem is actually that there is too much inspiration because it's the paradox of choice, where there are too many things to choose from, you don't choose anything. So when they have all of this inspiration out there, there's the internet and all the different websites and every bit of information in the world coming at them, it's information overload, and they're kind of like in a state of information overload where they're kind of shocked and they're not doing anything.
See, I don't agree with that because I think that creative people will always be inspired by things, and if you're a creative type, something's going to inspire you. You're not going to be paralyzed.
I'm
by
not saying that
abundance
nobody is ever going to, I don't know what it is with you today with this black or white thing. I'm not saying that everybody, that there will be no people creating anything ever. I'm saying that for young people, when they are bombarded with 10,000 different choices, it's more difficult for them than when when they have 3 choices or 10 choices. And they did that study with the DVD.
See, but I don't think of inspiration as a choice. Inspiration is something that it just makes an impression on you, and it imprints itself in your mind, and then.
But what happens when you have 10,000 things?
Well, then you get 10,000 impressions, and then you create something based on 10,000 impressions.
Well, maybe that's how your mind works. But they did a study on DVDs, and they had 100 DVDs that did all kinds of different things at all different prices, and they were all and then they had on the other side they had 2 DVDs, a $100 one and a $300 one, and the side that had the 100 DVDs, nobody bought anything because they were just overwhelmed with they didn't know what to buy, so they just left. On the other side, people bought the DVDs because it was either an expensive one or a cheap one.
But I don't think that's a good analogy because inspiration is not shopping. Inspiration,
I think inspiration is shopping. Absolutely, it's taking bits and pieces. I'm inspired by that. I'm inspired by that, and you're at the supermarket and you're picking out the things you like to eat.
No, I think that it's not shopping. You can take as much inspiration as you want, and you don't have to pay anything for it.
Well, that sounds like Disco 2000.
Well, Jamie Murray wants to know about Clubland. He just finished reading Frank Owen's book, Clubland, and he wants to know if we read it, which is yes, we have read it, and how accurate is it? I would say that there are a number of inaccuracies.
In there,
and
2 people in that book actually were thinking about suing him. I'm not one of them.
I mean, there's like big and small inaccuracies, like from getting people's names wrong to getting things wrong. And I guess
there's some pretty big ones, and some that actually do fall under the definition of libel or slander.
Oh, okay. Well, those I don't recall, but I just recall that reading a lot of inaccuracies.
Well, I'll give you one of them that's really blaringly crazy. Is that he says that Brooke sent Gitsy the heroin that killed her, which is outrageous because Brooke, and she's going to be here this week. Hopefully, she'll be on the show tomorrow. She hated heroin so much that you couldn't do it, you weren't allowed to do it around her. And for Gitsy, who lived in the East Village, and Brooke, who lived in Texas, Frank Owen says that Brooke FedExed her heroin when Gitsy could get it on the corner. That never happened. And to say that Brooke killed Gitsy, basically, is outrageous.
Jamie also wanted to know...
the fact that he didn't even fact check is crazy.
Yeah, that is. That's poor journalism.
Really poor journalism.
Jamie also wanted to know what our relationship was like with Lord Michael Caruso. And I would say that I knew him and I had a very cordial relationship with him, but I didn't allow myself to get close to him or have him know much about what I was doing because I never trusted him.
I kind of feel almost exactly the same way you do, but maybe a little bit closer because I saw a side of him that was, in the beginning at least, before he started using drugs, I saw a side of him that was actually very sweet, and he reminded me a little bit of Fred Flintstone.
And yes, he reminded me of Fred Flintstone too, and I even remember
his But his sidekick, Repeat, the DJ, was Barney Rubble. I mean, they were like Fred and Barney. They really were, you know. But when he started using drugs, and then he did that thing.
Yeah, he started robbing drug dealers.
Well, I mean, one day he came to me and he said...
but we're not going to mention names of any drug dealers.
Okay. One day he came to me...
We'll let Frank Owen do that.
And he said...
He'll probably get it wrong.
He said, Michael, we need you to do us a favor. And I said, what? And he said, we need you to call so-and-so and have them come over and tell them that we want to buy $20,000 worth of ecstasy. And then when so-and-so comes over, I'm going to have somebody come in the apartment with a gun and rob us both. And then I'll give you $1,000 for doing it.
Which I believe that whole scenario was described in Frank Owen's book. Wasn't it?
No. And I said... A
No,
little bit.
like
It was alluded
there
to.
was like a scenario where somebody shows up and steals.
Oh yeah. Oh, that scenario.
ties people
But the
up.
part where he asked me to set it up wasn't.
No, that part wasn't.
Right.
But like the actual
exactly.
scenario
The actual, yes, that was.
is in Frank Owen's book.
Yes, and that is correct. And I said, you are out of your mind. I am not going to do that. And he turned instantly into someone else and started laughing. And he said, oh, you think I'm serious? I'm not going to do that. Don't go telling anybody I did that. Said that. You know, so I immediately went to Peter and I told him, and Peter just was like, you know, what are we doing tonight at Disco 2000? You know, he just like didn't. And then like 2 days later, it happened, and I felt guilty. I should have called so and so and warned him, but I didn't.
Another cautionary tale.
And you know what? I'm going to email so and so tonight and apologize for that.
See you next time.
Bye.